Hello, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. It is me, Tika Cameron Tacky, and I am here again on another episode of Captivating Brand Combos. And I am so excited because I get to speak to one of my remarkable colleagues in the leadership space, Ms. Anna Banks. Ms. Banks is the owner and CEO of Thrive Leadership Institute. She is an executive coach and trainer, and she has coached and trained thousands of individuals around the world. She is also a Maxwell certified coach at an executive level, and she brings so much value to her community, to her clients. And I was so enamored by her when I met her in 2016 at the John Maxwell conference because her energy and just her knowledge was so inspiring. So today I brought Ms. Anna on to speak to her about her experience and also to give us, my audience, a taste of what it is that they can experience or learn from this remarkable woman. So Ms. Anna, I'm going to let you take the floor. Just tell us a little bit about your background, why you do what you do, and then we can go into, a bit more specific questioning about how it is that you are helping people on their journey.
Well, thank you so much, Tika. Yes, and I still remember having dinner during the John Maxwell celebration or conference and just sitting there and just connecting with you. I still have such fond memories of that. Well, again, as you said, my name is Anna Banks, and I've changed my title. My title is Managing Director. I'm Managing Director of Thrive Leadership Institute. I am an executive coach and a trainer. I love training. I guess because maybe at some earlier time in my life, I always loved teaching. It's just that teaching didn't always pay as well. So, at least not at the time that I was looking at careers. So I chose something else. But no matter what, teaching and training, knowledge transfer and encouraging people to learn and to grow has always been a passion of mine. And I continue to do that as the managing director of Thrive Leadership Institute with our two main components of the urban entrepreneur and Thrive Beyond Retirement.
Yes, I love that. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I want to know a bit more. I was really intrigued by, everything that you do, but specifically the Thrive Beyond Retirement component, because you are going through this, a lived experience that you're experiencing, and you have been able to come up with a solution to help individuals much like yourself, or those who are getting there, because we all have to get there at some point, right? To figure out, how do you get ready for that portion, that part of your life? So my first question is, what do you, as a retirement readiness coach, as part of it, one of the things that you do, what do you plan to do in the next 5 years, or that you can envision that you would be doing in the next 5 years?
That's a very interesting. Well, my first response, my knee-jerk response is, I pray that God still allows me to have another 5 years, because we just never know when that's going to happen. But in the event that he does that, I really foresee me expanding not only my own platform. I do have a show that will be launching, which is called Thrive Beyond Retirement, but also laying a foundation, becoming a guide for women, but men too, but mainly women who have worked inside of corporations, who have worked in government for 20, 30, 40, 50 years even, and decided that they're not done yet. They don't want to work necessarily for that particular company, or maybe even in that industry, but they still know that there's a lot of life to still live. And I just want to help them to prepare for the non-financial aspect of their next leg of their journey.
Awesome. Awesome. And in so doing, is it your intention to continue to do other parts of your business? Are you planning to do Thrive Beyond Retirement as well as your executive coaching? Or is there, I mean, we're only projecting, right? As you said. Or do you envision that you will be focusing on both or just one aspect of your business?
Well, the truth of the matter is, I even though being niche specific is very important, especially in marketing your brand,
Mhm.
I find that there are people that I work with under the Thrive umbrella, which is with the executive coaching, with the training, board retreats, board trainings, and things like that. Some of them are great clients for Thrive Beyond Retirement. Why do I say that?
Mhm.
Because many of these men and women are in
Yeah.
these roles because of their senior status, not just in age, but in wisdom and in experience. And they
Yeah.
are looking to move on in their lives. And so they may not be thinking about that under the same umbrella as being a board person or
Mhm.
being even a business owner who needs to make a transition. They prepared financially, but
Right.
so it's not really a separation for
Okay.
me. It's
Yes.
using those same skills um,
Yes.
to meet their needs.
Yes. So you're essentially just expanding your service offering and continuing to add value, to a segment that really needs you, right? And I mean,
Absolutely.
there's a lot of people who need you, but this segment clearly does. I appreciate that. I appreciate you helping me to understand and to help the audience to understand what you envision, not only for your future, but also for those clients that you can help. Now, you have established yourself as a leader in your field. You're well respected and well regarded in your fields. And how did you how did you go about doing that? How did you go about carving out that space for yourself where you became somebody who had influence and who is recognized for your expertise and who has been able to run a successful business because of that? What were some of the things that you did over the years to help you to move up to the place where you currently are today?
Um, well, I could say that was fairly simple because my 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 background um, was that I grew up in Newark, right in the center of what we still call the ghetto.
Yeah.
But I always had people, either that my mother procured for me or that I had through books. I'm
Hmm.
an avid reader. I
Yeah.
love to read even to this day. And so for people that either I knew in person or I met through books, I learned and I applied what it was that they did, So,
Mhm.
there's an adage that says, if you want to be successful, you look at what the people do that are successful, and you look at what the people do that are not successful, and you don't do that.
That's
And
right.
so,
That's correct.
so that I would mainly say, for me, a lot of it had to do with books. I read
Okay.
a lot. And as I, grew through my corporate career, my
Mhm.
various stages of
Yes.
corporate career, um, I always looked for people that were ahead of me, um,
Yes.
and looked at what they did that I could appropriate for myself, and
Hmm.
just do a lot more of that. I became
Hmm.
active in my professional associations, which is something that a lot of people don't talk about. But
Right.
if it were not for some of those professional associations, being around men and women who were running meetings and making stuff happen and traveling all over the world, I wouldn't know how to do that because that wasn't available when I was a
Hmm.
child and from my family. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that's it. It was reading and applying.
Yes.
And then finding other mentors. Yeah,
Yes.
that's definitely it.
That's incredible. And I mean, so you followed you modeling, which is an important part of growth, right? Following people who are leading by example and like you said, applying, because there's no sense in following and then not applying the lessons that you learned, right? John teaches this, right?
Absolutely.
So you were remarkable in the sense that you knew that there were areas or gaps, things that you needed to learn, and you were willing and open and coachable in order to develop. And you took the initiative and intent and became intentional and did what needed to be done and continued that throughout your career. Even that in and of itself is a really incredible lesson for those who perhaps are confused as to how to even go about that. Do you think that required a certain degree of self-confidence? Because what if you're not somebody who is, I mean, the reading part, certainly that's more of initiative taking, but going out and meeting people who are ahead of you, how do you approach people who are ahead of you if you are not necessarily somebody who's feeling very confident in your abilities and yourself? What do you think it took for you to do that? Was it confidence, or was it just, courage, or a combination of both?
Oh, it was definitely a combination of both.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a really quick story. I remember earlier in my life, I was, decided that I was going to become more involved in professional associations because, it seemed like a lot of these women were, like doing things, right? They were in mid-level management at that time, or they were in senior executives because I was in government. Yeah. And so I decided that I was going to become a member of this organization. And so I had a good paying job, at that time, at least at that time was considered a good paying job. And so I joined, I paid my membership dues, and I would watch, for opportunities to get to the other levels, not personally, but just to see who those other people are. Now, I knew that some people will hang around at the local level, but a lot of people never go to the other levels of organizations. They don't go to their regional meetings. They don't go to their national conferences, those types of things, right? Yes. Just like with John Maxwell, right? Right. So I decided that I was going to go to the regional conference. It was open to anyone. And so they were having a board meeting, and I decided that I was going to go. So me and myself, we jumped in my car and we drove to, I think it wasn't Boston, it was Connecticut. And I showed up, in my little blue suit and my yellow shirt and, was looking very corporate. And people looked around as if to say, well, how did she get here? Because why? First of all, I wasn't on the board. I wasn't part of that quote unquote, but it was open to everyone. Yes. And so I showed up. And that was one of the things that became part of my mantra, Tika. It's like, you show up. Show up. Yes. If the door is open, and if you can pay your way, volunteer your way to get in those circles, do it. Do it. That's awesome. And I'm sure that led to many more opportunities because you probably met people who had the ability to help you move forward, right? And you connected with them. Absolutely. Yes. Because as you know, that pyramid, right? There are a lot of people at the bottom, but there are few people at the top. Yes. And the thing is, if you can find a way to maneuver yourself through there, and I all I had to do was basically show up because I didn't think I had anything to offer. So I would go and I would listen. I would take notes and I would try to apply whatever it was that I could. Yes. And I've been like that. That's incredible. All my life. That's incredible. And that speaks to your success. Because you're willing to take the risk, to put yourself in uncomfortable places, right? We don't move and we don't grow if we choose to stay comfortable,
right? We have to take a risk. Even if we're not feeling too confident, if we're not too sure, we've got to be willing to take a risk and a chance and do our best. And as you said, you observed, you listened, and you acted, you took action. So wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Anna. That's really helpful, not only for myself, but also I'm sure for those who are listening. Now, I want to help those in the community who are trying to move ahead in their careers or in their business as executive. They're trying to get to that executive level in their business. They want to, to be successful, but they're struggling maybe to understand how to connect and communicate or to develop those leadership competencies that could help them to move forward. What are some of, and to be seen? What are some of the ways that you can stay, or you believe that people can stay relevant or be seen as they mature in their career or their business? So when you get to that level where you're like mid level career, or you're at a middle, you've been building your business for quite some time, what are some of the ways that you could, beyond what you've shared already, that you can use to stay relevant and to be seen in your, as somebody who is a person of influence, as somebody who is credible, as somebody who is a thought leader in their field? What are some of the tips or suggestions that you have to help those individuals to be able to stay relevant?
Well, one of the things that immediately comes to mind is basically what we're doing right now. Not necessarily on a podcast, but start to speak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Look at your life. Look at what you're currently doing in your job. Look at how you are managing time and resources and people. And think about how what you already know can help someone else. And then start to speak about that. Start to write about that. One of the other things that I discovered is that I like blogging. I like writing short articles. Now you get those very long articles and things like that. I cap at about, 750 words.
I get it.
But just think about those types of things that you are currently doing, that you love doing, and that you're good at.
Yes.
And then start to think about maybe top 10 ways that you can blog, right?
Mm-hmm.
Top 10 ideas that you can have about blah. You can Google things today and get some ideas on what the top 10 ideas, the top 10 questions, and just start to pair that up with what you do. And start to publish. Now, you may ask, how do you do that? Let me tell you. Mm-hmm. What a lot of people don't realize is that their local or regional or area newspaper are always looking for material.
Correct. Yeah.
So write your article, and it needs to not be about you, but it needs to be about something that will benefit someone else, and submit it.
Yes.
That's one of the things that I also did.
Yes.
I decided that I wanted to be published. I wanted to see my name in print in somebody's newspaper. I didn't want it to be like the Esquire. I mean, what's that? The Philadelphia Inquirer.
National Enquirer. No, we don't want to be there. Yeah.
But locally, I could do that. And so I looked for some smaller monthly news magazines, and I saw that they had a business column. At that time in my career, I was an accountant and knew a little bit about taxes and things like that. And so I decided that I would start to write a monthly column. And that's what I did. I wrote a monthly column. I submitted it to this magazine. I did that for about 8 months, wrote a column, wrote an article, and submitted it. Now, and I got my I got a headshot.
Yes.
Had a little bio written up with some help, and I
Yes.
submitted that every single month
Yeah.
to this local magazine. And what happened was the person who was writing the column decided to take a hiatus. There was something going on in this family, and what the magazine still needed that column, needed
Mm-hmm.
information for that column, and they chose my column. And
Amazing.
I was with them for like almost 2 years. It was absolutely great, but that's
Yes.
not all.
Yeah.
As a result of that, I also had the opportunity of getting asked to be the host of my very first radio show. It was a
Wow.
terrestrial radio show. I had no experience whatsoever, but what I had was content,
Yes.
and that's what they needed. So they gave
Wow.
me a sound engineer, and he prepped me with all of my nerves and things like that. So the
Yeah.
opportunity opened up from there.
Yes. And you
So
created
you
that.
see the thread? I
Yes.
decided that I wanted to be in print. Why? Because you asked about being a thought leader, being
Yes.
someone who could add value, being a
Yes.
person who can influence.
Yes. Yes.
So you don't have to have a grand stage. Start where you are, right in
Mm-hmm.
your little town,
Mm-hmm.
right in your area, and get started.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's intentionality and consistency at work. I love it. I love it. That's incredible. And I'm like you said before, and we talked about when you were networking, so many opportunities are created from just one opportunity, right? Look, you were able to get a radio. What if you didn't show up and take that risk and decide to write that column, right? And your commitment, we have to speak to the commitment and the dedication. You said you're going to do it. You committed to doing it and you consistently delivered, and it created more opportunities. So that speaks to staying relevant. In order to stay relevant, you've got to make sure you put in the work. You've got to make sure that you understand, how important it is for you to be consistent. Thank you so much, Anna, for that. Now, I want to respect your time, and I know that we have a couple more questions. I have a couple more things I wanted to ask you. I have so many things I could talk to you about because you're just like, you have so much knowledge, and it's so fun talking to you. But I wanted to make sure before we leave this conversation to talk about some of the blind spots, some of the roadblocks, some of the pitfalls that people could potentially experience as they are building their leadership brand or personal brand or just their presence. Once you're going into that middle stage of your career or business, what are some of the common personal branding or branding mistakes that you believe people make, or you have seen from your experience that they make that could potentially harm or tarnish their brand? And what are some of the recommendations that you have to avoid doing those things?
Okay, well, okay, so what immediately comes to mind is, say if you were married, right? Before you got married, right, you were dating your soon to be spouse, or you started dating. You always made
Mhm.
sure that you dressed up, you did all of those kinds of things. He opened the door, or he did special things for you, you did special things for him. You did
Yeah.
all of that, right? So that was
Yeah.
during that dating phase. Then sometimes when we get married or we get otherwise connected on a long-term basis, we don't do some of those things. It's like, oh yeah, well, I don't have to do that. You don't even think about doing it as much anymore. And you get comfortable.
Comfortable. Yeah.
Right? You think that you don't have to do those things. And
Yeah.
so I'm using that as an analogy to say the work that you did to get your business started and to move your career up, you still have to do work to keep that business growing, and to, like you said earlier, stay relevant. And
Mhm.
so one of the pitfalls that I see is not still courting and maintaining contact with your existing client base, not letting them feel important, like they matter. I have an insurance agent that when I first went to him, I went to his office and he was like all lovely, you know, all of that. Now I've been with him for a number of years, and all I ever get is the annual or biannual bill. I don't get a Christmas card. I don't get a hi Anna, how you doing? You know, let's review your policy to see if there are any changes that need. None of that.
Just a bill.
Just a bill. So my question is, if you are mid-level or you are an existing business that wants to grow, how are you treating your existing clients?
Yeah.
If you're in corporate and you're mid-level, that means that you have employees. How are you treating them? Are you treating them like same day next year? Or are you treating them like they're valuable, like they matter? Instead of just running after the new client, how are you taking care of your existing clients? That's a big pitfall that a lot of people just don't do. They don't do the things that got them started. Now, it doesn't have to be the same level of intensity. It doesn't even have to be the same way that you did it. But it does need to be relevant, and it needs to be smart, right? It needs to be specific. It needs to be measurable. It needs to be all of those things that we talk about when we talk about SMART goals.
Yes.
So you ask, what is the solution? Come out of your comfort zone and really take a look at how you are looking at your clients.
Yes.
How are you looking at your career? How are you looking at your spouse or significant other?
Yes. That's really good. That's really good. And it speaks to value. It really comes back to valuing people, right? Which is a big thing for us. Making sure that you recognize when you're building a brand, whether it be a business or in your career, ultimately you're going to connect with people, and people want to feel valued. They want to feel important. They want to feel as though you care. So if you're not going to continue to do that, whether it be through your written communication or your periodic check-ins or your consistency in your business, then I can see and I can understand how that could tarnish your image and how that can tarnish your relationships, which ultimately affects your brand. So that's wisdom. That's wisdom, and I appreciate it. All right. So last thing I wanted to talk about is legacy. Legacy, because we are in the John Maxwell team, because we're, Maxwell colleagues and family. I love to use the term family because I feel that we're all family.
We really are.
A big part of our beliefs, and I wanted to get your thoughts on, how do you, and especially as you're dealing with individuals who are, either at the latter part of their career, business, or entering into retirement. How does one think about the legacy that they want to leave behind? How are you looking at legacy? I know that you've been adding value, but what would you suggest or state would be some of the most important things to consider as you are looking to leave a legacy behind? What are some of the things to consider?
Just before I jumped on with you today, I was meeting with my team from Panama.
Yeah.
I just returned in August. Was it August? Oh, maybe it was in the end of July. I don't know. The days start to run together. But recently we returned from a transformation trip in Panama with John Maxwell. Yeah. And one of my team members, Paul, was talking about we need to think generationally. We really need to think generationally. And at a time where so much is focused on just me and mine, and mine meaning mine immediately, I think that creating legacy is about what you want to see in your life. And I say beyond your children, if you have children. It's like, what impact do you want to leave? Is there something that just every time you think about it, it just makes you angry? I think John comes up with, he often mentions, looking at what makes you happy. What are some of the things that make you happy? What are some things that make you mad? What are some of the things that make you sad? And choose something like that. Choose one of those things and do something about it.
Yeah.
For me, I want to see a diverse world. I kind of, I grew up with Martin Luther King, and his when he talked about in his Have a Dream speech. And he said, I have a dream that, and I'm paraphrasing this, where my children and my children's children live in a world that are judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
Yeah.
And that's my dream, that we live in a world where we're not judged just by the color of our skin or by our religion or of our national origin, but by the content of our character, by what we bring, what we are able to, even with our blind spots, recognize them and decide to make it right, apologize, decide to love someone or forgive someone, and to have that be a global experience. And so look at something that really matters to you, that is going to exist in the human experience for as long as there are humans, and contribute to that. Do something about that. I have said Panama was my 5th country with John, going for transformation of countries. And when I closed my eyes for the last time, no one in any of those, Paraguay or Costa Rica or the Dominican Republic or Papua New Guinea or Panama, may ever remember my name. But I know that what I was able to add to during those times that I was in that country will have a ripple effect for generations to come. Helping people to live and to work and to grow businesses by good values, values that make a difference for their lives and for their children's children. So,
wow. Thank you. That says a lot. That's powerful. And for those who don't know about the transformation initiatives, these are initiatives that Ms. Anna has participated in through the John Maxwell team, where we go to various countries throughout the world, and embark on a country transformation at the highest leadership levels. It's an impactful and powerful opportunity, and Ms. Anna has taken advantage of that and has been present and has added great value to these countries and the individuals. And I tip my hat off to you, because it just shows how committed you are to not only developing leaders, but really changing lives. And that's really incredible. And I know for a fact that when I think of your name, now and many, many years to come, I will always remember just your level of commitment and your joy, the joy that you get from helping others and from adding just so much value to their lives. So I thank you for your work. I thank you for your time, because I love spending time with you. If there is anything that I could leave, that you want to leave with, first of all, I want to make sure before we go that people know how to reach out to you, right? If they want to connect with you, they want to learn more about you. Well, what are the ways that they can do that? And then, if there was anything that you want to, that I didn't cover or that you may not have covered, but you would like to share, please take this opportunity to do so.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Tika. Well, first of all, it's been a delight. And just let me say one other thing parenthetically, about going on those trips with John. They are fun. They are fun. We get to do good work. But I love to travel. And what better way to travel with great people and to do good in the world, so I have a lot of fun in the process.
Yes. I'm hoping one of these days I am planning one of these days to be on one of those transformation initiatives, because I hear so much about them and it just seems like remarkable work. So yes, looking forward to it.
But how people can get in touch with me, you can always go to my website, which is thriveleadershippinstitute.com. That's Thrive Leadership Institute. Yes, I know it's long, but that's what I came up with.
I'll drop the information wherever I can in the captions.
And the other thing is, if you are an entrepreneur, especially that works in an urban area. Now, urban doesn't necessarily mean ghetto. Urban just means city environment. And you have a story to tell, or if you are an author, we'd love to invite you to apply to be a guest on our show, The Urban Entrepreneur. And you can find out more about that at www. You have to put that in. We're still working on some things on that. TheUrbanEntrepreneurshow.com. We are, interviewing and sharing stories of people, of entrepreneurs throughout the world. So, Tika, your audience is global, so I would love to be able to hear and to share the stories that they have from all parts of the world. Yeah. And as far as Thrive Beyond Retirement, that's going to launch in October, which is my birth month. And that's going to be my birthday present. So stay tuned for that. But ThriveBeyondRetirement.com. That will be coming soon.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll make sure to include the information in the captions wherever I post the content.
Yes. And also I'm on social media too.
Sorry, I missed that. Say that again.
I'm also on social media. Absolutely.
Yes. She's very consistent. And if you're not on her email list, you need to get on it, because she shares valuable content. Don't worry, I'll make sure that I leave those contacts. And yes, is there anything else, Ms. Anna, that you wanted to say or share, or are you feeling complete?
I feel it's complete, except again, thank you. Thank you so much, Tika. First of all, for your friendship, for our colleagueship, for being a member of a movement that is really about global transformation, and the good work that you are doing with your podcast and with your business. I look forward at sometime in the future to either come back and visit again, and to even I'm inviting you to be a guest on one of my shows.
Absolutely.
So that's a great option.
You're welcome. And I thank you. I value you. I appreciate your time. And I look forward to many more opportunities to connect. And I will reach out to you about showing up on that podcast for sure. All right. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And you know where I'm at. Okay. I thank you so much, Ms. Anna. Take good care of yourself.
Thank you. You too now.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That concludes another episode of Captivating Brand Convos, and I am Tika Cameron Tacky, a certified image consultant and leadership presence coach, as well as personal style whiz. And I am bringing to you conversations about individuals who are building incredible brands throughout the world, women in the diaspora, women who have created a niche for themselves, women who are consistently delivering remarkable results. I'm featuring them on this podcast. If you are someone who is doing amazing work in your community, if you are growing a business, if you are leading in your career, and you want to have your voice heard, let's have a conversation. Reach out to me and let me know if you would like to be on our show. You can hit the link in my bio, or you can go to bit.ly/Tika Cameron. And on that link, you will see an invitation to join the podcast. I would love to have you on. If you wish to learn more about personal branding or leadership development, as far as building your leadership presence and your leadership brand, I am here to help and support you. You can also reach out to me at the same link to get further information. Until next time, I look forward to hearing from you, and I wish you all the best on your journey.